We have touched on AI a fair bit, but now we're really deep diving into it because it can't be a DTC conference without it.
It's mandated by law.
Exactly. So if I could get you both to introduce yourselves, what you do and where you do it.
Please.
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Kimberly Morgan. I'm the CEO and founder of the Fashion Tech Exec. I do go-to-market advisory, strategy and operations, as well as funding acceleration, focused on supply chain, retail, and fashion sector.
And I'm Dominick Miserandino. I'm on more boards than I can count just because it gets me to not bother my wife so much. So she sends me out of the house to go on board of directors. I run Retail Tech Media Nexus, and we are connectors where tech companies call us and say, do you know any retailers or brands who do such and such? And I say, depends. Are you going to pay me? And then we know them suddenly at that point. So that's the intro.
Kimberly, starting with you. So I'm sure a lot of the people in the room care about their ROI. Where are you seeing the highest ROI from AI in retail right now? Is it marketing, supply chain, customer experience?
Yeah, I think I definitely think marketing and customer experience. There's so much opportunity in the website optimization, product detail page, customer experience, from marketing, like hyper personalization, because clearly segmentation and being personalized isn't relevant anymore. So I think those are very impactful. There are wins in supply chain. Aldo Group's doing a lot with demand forecasting, elasticity on pricing. I think that's the real unlock when it comes to really moving the needle with margin and bottom line. But it's a tricky place to play in the supply chain, data complexities and intricacies. But I'm kind of keeping my eye on that sector in the next year.
Amazing. And Dominick, you mentioned you're on a fair amount of boards. You've navigated leadership across both startups and legacy organisations. Where do you see AI making the most immediate, tangible impact for retail and fashion brands?
Well, I know everyone here has not heard enough about AI today. But to me, AI is simply additive to the human experience. If you're using AI as a replacement, you're pretty much destined to fail. I use it personally as an extension. Sort through this spreadsheet and please double check your work. I'll tell it afterwards. A lot of times in my world has been in media, TV, etc. I can't replace this bubbling, wonderful personality with AI. But I can say, I'm prepping for this panel, help me research this, or here's my notes, rewrite them so I can memorize them. And I think when you're using AI in business as an additive, you're now super speeding the experience, and it becomes much easier.
Yeah, you've got to know how to prompt it to get the best results. Right. Kimberly, can you share a practical example where AI directly improved consumer engagement or conversion?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of great examples. I think it goes back to the marketing and kind of experience side. I mean, I think the website experience, product detail pages that are being, dynamically updated to that individual's preferences, whether it's content from social cues, then through to the product experience based on what they did, what they're doing in real time. I think that is massive. And I think that is what customers expect. If I look at something, show me something else additive. Don't show me something the same. Steve Madden's doing a lot of great work there. What I'm really interested is kind of that next step in the AI logistics part, where actually like Viore and Bombas are doing a lot of work to actually take brick and mortar and convert them into like mini distribution centers. So standard shipping, 3 to 5 days. I need it in 4, I'm not gonna buy, it's too risky. Actually, well, we're gonna ship that from Soho, I live in the city, not Iowa. Shipping's 1 to 2 days, I'm purchasing. It's a real needle mover when it comes to conversion, but also then when you're looking further into the supply chain, not having carryover of stock, that crushes margin. I think that's those are some pretty good examples that I think will continue.
Yeah, I think it's good that you can use it to bridge the gap between brick and mortar and online activities. Dominick, so I'm sure there's a few common misconceptions with AI. What are they, and how do you address them?
I think the biggest misconception with AI, well, probably two. The first is that replacement of the human, and like I said, that can't be done. That's actually why I pivoted this new business where it's all connections. You can't do that. And the second is the AI is really just this reflective tool, taking the data it has in its system and doing its best. I recently had an experience where I kept on feeding it information, and it was doing projections of sales for a client and a projected growth of 1,400%. And I said, I think your math might be off. And of course, he responded, yes, it is completely off. And I thought that was wonderful. We see that, and that's the other part of it. It's not going to replace people as long as you're using it just like a calculator. You would not expect the calculator to do accounting for you at the end of the year. You would expect the calculator to do its job, and you as the person have to investigate after that.
So you're using it as a tool, not a replacement. Kimberly, so I work in partnerships, and we work with a lot of search and discovery partners. They're all great, and it's evolving fast with AI integration. What should brands be doing to maintain visibility and relevance?
Yeah, I think search is, it's changed. And it will continue to evolve. We were just talking about at lunch, like Meta being king and navigating that. But even personally, like Googling it, it's not in my vernacular. I'm like ChatGPT, Perplexity, it like that in and of itself. I think again, data point of one. But that trend and that change is affecting discoverability, and I think. To make sure that your brand is discoverable, you have to unlock all of your information around your brand so that LLMs, they can all scrape that and you're visible. It's product catalogs, it's UGC, it's your community pages, it's your product details, like single tags. That's not going to cut it anymore. And I think I come from background of ad tech, martech, and publishing. And content was always king, and it still is. But I truly think that the brands that can position their content appropriately, whether you get to brand.com or not, because in many cases people won't even get there, they are still discoverable. And I think that's, content is king. It's like you got the kingdom. Like I think that's where we're headed.
Amazing, Dominic. So we've discussed a lot of strategies today, but how is AI influencing retail media strategies, and what should brands be doing now to future-proof their presence across paid and owned channels?
Following the statement of content being king, I've been in media for, like I said, 30 years. It's the storytelling. In fact, brands are really just telling a story. You're not buying that product. Certainly, fashion brands are a great example. That high-end product, you'll look at how much it costs to manufacture in China, et cetera, and you'll say, why am I going to spend $5,000 on this bag? It's because the story. It's the human connection of that story that makes me say, hooray, I have a Louis Vuitton. You're not
you
saying,
have a Louis Vuitton? Because
no,
I do. So.
I don't even care. But
I would like one.
Exactly. I have none of. I do not. But that said, the average person doesn't operate like that. What kind of car do you drive? What kind of shirt do you have? What kind of X, or how often do you text your friend and they'll say you have an Android versus an iPhone and the bubble was not right? It is still the same delivery of the text. It is still the same. Functionally, the bag carries a cell phone and 12 other objects at this point. You could, in theory, go shopping all day with the Trader Joe's brown paper bag and it will accomplish the same tactical goal. So it's a story. And I think, number one, because it's AI, you're not going to replace that story with AI, because AI will say, yes, the brown paper bag is much more functional. But you have to connect with that person. And that's the job of everyone who's here, is saying, yes, we're making this object and it's beautiful, but this is why it's beautiful to you. And this is why it matters to you. And the AI can then expedite and help that journey, but you can't have that North Star vision be created by the AI. That's created by the person.
Amazing. And Kimberly, so with your global retail tech perspective, I feel like this is a loaded question. This might take a while. What does a winning AI-powered omni-channel strategy look like in 2025?
Oh, geez. How much time do we have? Because we have wine, and I don't even bring my PowerPoint. So I think it goes back to it was talked about in the last panel, and I think Molly shared to start, like, ROI and like what is the basis of strategy that you're executing. So I think when you think of omni-channel strategy and then AI, what will work for your brand and what is the outcome? I mean, the business first lens has to be in place, and that's going to differ for every brand. If you're a direct to consumer only, are you brick and mortar? Where is your customer shopping? Do you know your customer like intimately and deeply, not demographic? And how does that customer change per geo? I think that's the lens that you take for AI and how it will amplify and accelerate your business. AI for the sake of AI is a waste of time, but also when you look at your omni-channel strategy, the customer doesn't have a journey, and there is no customer journey anymore. They want what they want in the channel that they are, and they expect that brand to meet them where they are. But lifting and shifting is not going to work, because what works in e-commerce won't work in social, vice versa, and it won't translate into brick and mortar. And so I think it's the strategic lens of how that same customer that's buying online, that's buying in store, what does that look like though? Because that same person has different expectations. And so I think that's really, I think the win when you look at how you're stitching together that entire customer experience and doing it thoughtfully and purposefully in each of the executions that, again, go back to ROI. And so where AI can come in to accelerate that, of course, that's what you should be doing. But I think that's that's the takeaway, or what I would see for the brands that are winning and will continue to win.
I think that's like the most efficient strategy I've ever heard. Thank you. And to finish off, Dominick, so looking ahead, what's your take on the next wave of AI-driven commerce technology that brands should be experimenting with today?
I love the look ahead questions, because for 30 years I'm blatantly wrong consistently.
So whatever you say, do the opposite.
Yeah, pretty much. No, there has been a pattern though, in that I've been asked the same question when social media came out, when video platforms came out, when publishing online came out. Every one of these media, I would go on TV and they'd ask, and the consistency was the idea was amazing, whatever it was. And we'd have 27 variants of Facebook, for example, or social. During the pandemic, when it came to video platforms, there was not just Zoom; there was all the things, and you had to choose. Marco Polo reminds me of one of them, and we all go insanely overboard and say, of course, we all need AI embedded glasses. You've all seen that, and we all need this stuff. And then there's this moment of pullback to the reality. And before I mentioned the storytelling and connecting with the customers, well, ultimately, it's when you have that as your North Star, what is the product? What is the story? I met someone before, I don't see where you are now, who was selling
Catalyst.
Catalyst cat. Where are you? Great. Wave your hand. I want to see Catalyst. There he is.
It's the better cat litter.
Do not point him out. It feels awkward, but he's right there. He sells cat litter. It's cat litter. The cat goes to the bathroom. You got to have really good cat litter that will is more healthy for the cat. And my point of that is not to pitch the gentleman, which I'm sure now you'll all run over to get cat litter. It's because the AI is not going to change that basic need. Would you like healthier cat litter? Yes or no. The AI will be more efficient in that journey. And if you think of it in that curve that I've seen, 4 or 5 iterations every time. No, you need 27 social media platforms. No, you just kind of need LinkedIn and maybe Instagram. You need 27 videos. No, you're just going to Zoom. Like, we're right now, I feel like at that arch where we're like there's every type of AI model and everyone's making their own AI models. And when I see that arch, I think, all right, we'll come back a little bit to what we reality need. And that's kind of where I think we're heading.
Well, I feel like we could talk about AI all day, but that was AI 101. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you all very much, and I'll be around.